Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today I am making something from Dune. Now I was looking for something to build relatively quickly because I have run out of time this week. I have family coming and I had a lot of other plans and things that I had to be taking care of throughout this week and last week. So I am crunched for time and need to get a build out quickly. So I thought, why not make one of those Crysknives from Dune? There's a bunch of different versions of it depending on the movie that you're looking at. So I'm going to go with the 2021 version of the knife. It's like a tooth or a follicle or something pulled from one of the sandworm creatures, and it made a dagger out of it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it all out of EVA foam. Let's get to building. This should be a pretty simple build to follow. I literally just looked for a good image of the side profile of the weapon and printed it out as best as I could to the dimensions of the movie prop. Some sources online said it should be around 19 inches long or so. I printed it out and taped up the paper, then cut it out to use as my template. The next step was to trace the pattern onto my material of choice. I'm using some very dense 6mm EVA foam for the main body and then some 4mm foam for that raised silver bit on the handle. Instead of cutting out the pieces in the knife shape, I glued 3 layers together first before making my cut of the object. I glue up all the layers with some contact cement. With a sharp box cutter, I cut out the perimeter of the knife, trying to stay as close as I can to the line. Once the outline was cut, I start removing the bulk of the edges to shape the Crysknife closer to its final dimensions. I know it looks like this is being done really quickly, but keep in mind my video is sped up about 4 times its actual speed right here. Go slow, pay attention to where your hands are while you're cutting with this sharp object. It really is easy to cut yourself pretty badly by having a lapse in your attention to simple tasks. The handle has this raised hammer metal detail that wraps around one side of the knife. I trace where it should lay on the body of the prop and then cut out a piece that will stretch across the outline. Once I have the part cut in 4mm black foam, I glue it onto the main body. The Crysknife is made from the tooth of a dead sandworm of Ericus, so it has these small ridges like ivory or other animal tusks. I'm going to over exaggerate the depth of these because I know that 2 layers of plasti dip and the other layers of paint will fill in this ridge just a little. I use the corner of my sanding drum and carve grooves all in the blade and the handle to match my cutout. Make sure to wear a respirator and work in a well ventilated area while sanding EVA foam. You don't want to breathe in the dust. It's not the spice you're looking for. The blade and the handle have these runes on them and circular patterns that I need to carve into the foam. I trace them with a silver Sharpie so that I can see the markings easily, and then burn them in using a wood burner. Make sure to put that respirator back on and crack a window when burning EVA foam. The vapors it kicks off are pretty nasty. From what I can see from the reference images, it looks like the silver bit has a hammered finish around the runes. So I put this round stone bit on my rotary tool and bored out some pocks into the surface of the foam. These divots will really pop once a layer of paint goes over the top of the high points. 2 coats of Plasti Dip. The paint job is pretty straightforward. I dry brush on some white acrylic paint to the tip of the blade and then make passes with yellow and brown and black to give it dimension and sell all those details that I carved in earlier. I paint the handle brown and then hit the raised area with some silver rub and buff. And with that, the build is pretty much done. From start to finish, it took me about 2.5 hours to do. And we are finished. Here is the end result. The knife extends to about 19 inches or so from tip to hilt. I think it turned out pretty cool, and it was something that I did in literally 2.5 hours from start to finish, paint included. So yeah, something that I kicked out pretty easily, and I showed you that using a straight out printout scaled to the size that you want it definitely makes it a lot easier, and you don't have to necessarily go and find a template made by somebody to build something. Especially things like knives and swords and things like that. They're relatively straightforward, so yeah. Maybe we'll try and make one of these yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to pull something from a movie and make something really super quick and it still be super awesome. Yeah. Maybe you'll get some...
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props, stabby stab. If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and want to see more builds like this one, please consider joining these awesome people listed here with me over on my Patreon to build a bigger, better, more creative community together.